You've heard the headlines and seen the polls, but what's the real story behind Kamala's loss? It's not just about politics as usual. In this video, we'll delve deep into 5 key reasons that the mainstream media hasn't tied together. From surprising voter behaviors to global trends affecting elections worldwide, we're uncovering the truths that could redefine how we understand modern politics. So let's begin. What if everything we thought about voter demographics was wrong? Despite assumptions, many immigrant families actually pushed for stricter border security. Could it be that once people secure their own place, they aim to protect it? Point number 1, demographics are not destiny. The assumption that shared demographics between a candidate and voters will naturally lead to electoral success is a simplification that overlooks the multifaceted nature of voter behavior. In Kamala Harris's 2024 presidential campaign, this notion was profoundly challenged. Despite expectations, Harris did not secure overwhelming support from certain demographic groups, including immigrant communities and their descendants. Recent interviews and polling data reveal that many immigrant families prioritize issues like border security and economic stability over demographic alignment. Having navigated the complexities of immigration themselves, these voters often advocate for secure borders to protect the opportunities that they've worked hard to obtain. This perspective underscores a broader reality. Voters are not monolithic blocks defined solely by identity markers, but are influenced by convergence of personal experience, economic concerns, and values. Harris's team may have overestimated the impact of demographic alignment while underestimating the significance of addressing voters' immediate concerns. By not fully engaging with specific issues that matter the most in these communities, such as economic security and immigration policies that reflect their nuanced perspectives, the campaign missed critical opportunities to build genuine connections. This miscalculation highlights the necessity for candidates to delve deeper into the needs and aspirations of the electorate, recognizing that identity is just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Anti-Black misandry and shaming language hit an all-time high, and it seems that many Democratic spokespeople leaned into it hard. Point number 2, the perils of alienation, anti-Black misandry, and the political discourse. During this campaign, there was an observed increase in rhetoric that we can comfortably say was anti-Black misandry, with shaming language directed towards Black men. Why do I say comfortably? Because people that have never even heard this term before still noticed it. This approach not only risked alienating a key demographic, but also mirrored a broader issue of disconnect between the electorate and those in power. The use of divisive language and stereotypes compounded feelings of disenfranchisement among Black men, who have historically faced systemic challenges and marginalization. Such rhetoric undermines efforts to build inclusive coalitions and distracts from substantive policy discussions that address pressing issues like criminal justice reform, economic inequality, and access to quality education. By leaning into this divisive discourse, some Democratic spokespeople may have inadvertently deepened existing fractures within the base. Harris's association with these narratives, whether through direct statements or by not sufficiently distancing herself from them, may have contributed to a loss of trust and support amongst Black male voters. This highlights the critical importance of inclusive and respectful communication in political discourse. To foster unity and advance social justice goals, it's essential to engage with constituents empathetically, acknowledging their experiences and concerns. Can you win a race you started too late? Harris jumped into an electoral marathon without the 2 years of prep she really needed. Point number 3, the unforgiving race against time. Launching a successful presidential campaign requires extensive preparation, strategic planning, and time. Harris faced the significant challenge of entering the race without sufficient time to build a robust campaign infrastructure. What do I really mean? This compressed timeline hindered her ability to establish a strong national presence, refine her messaging, and cultivate relationships with key stakeholders and voters. The lack of preparation time impeded her capacity to fully articulate and disseminate her policy positions. Voters seek clarity and confidence in a candidate's platform, especially when they're grappling with complex issues like economic uncertainty and social injustice. Without ample time to develop comprehensive solutions and communicate them effectively, Harris struggled to differentiate herself and build momentum necessary for electoral success. This scenario underscores a profound lesson in the importance of foresight and strategic planning, a reminder that in politics, as in life, timing can be as critical as talent. The ability to anticipate challenges, adapt to a changing circumstance, and engage proactively with the electorate is essential for building a viable campaign. Is it the economy after all? With soaring inflation and widespread economic hardships, voters felt the pinch where it hurts the most, their wallets. To add to that was the frustration over funds flowing to unpopular foreign conflicts instead of addressing issues at home. Point number 4, economic woes and the burden of unpopular wars. The economy remains a central issue for voters, and in the 2024 election, high inflation and the economic hardships were paramount concerns. Despite indicators suggesting a booming economy, many Americans faced rising costs for essentials like food, housing, and healthcare. Inflation eroded purchasing power, and financial insecurity loomed large for many families. This disconnect between macroeconomic indicators and individual experiences fueled a desire for change. Compounding discontent over domestic economic woes was the issue of unpopular foreign engagements. Significant financial resources were allocated to overseas conflicts, which many voters perceived as draining funds that would have been better spent addressing domestic needs. The sight of hundreds of billions spent abroad while infrastructure crumbled and social programs suffered at home stirred feelings of neglect and frustration. Harris's close association with the current administration made it challenging for her to distance herself from these policies. The inability to present a distinct and compelling economic vision that addressed the voters' immediate concerns further alienated the electorate. This situation reveals a deeper insight into the electorate's desire for leaders who prioritize national interests and exercise prudent stewardship of resources. Now for the bigger picture that ties it all together contextually. Point number 5, a global wave of anti-incumbent sentiment, placing this election in its international context. The election results cannot be fully understood without considering the broader global trends of anti-incumbent sentiment. The 2024 election year was the largest in global history, with more people voting worldwide than ever before. Across the globe, voters expressed their dissatisfaction with their governments, opting to replace incumbent parties regardless of their ideology or accomplishments. This phenomenon was observed in countries as diverse as the United Kingdom, India, South Korea, and South Africa. Voters signaled a desire for change driven by common challenges such as economic uncertainty, inflation, and a perceived disconnect between the ruling parties and the populace. Does that sound familiar? The United States election results aligned with the global pattern, suggesting that Harris's defeat was part of a wider wave of anti-establishment sentiment. Despite efforts to address economic challenges, many people around the world continue to feel the pinch of rising prices and stagnant wages. Understanding Harris's defeat within this global context provides valuable insights. It highlights that her loss was not solely due to domestic factors or campaign missteps, but was also influenced by broader international trends. The global international debt is getting somewhere close to $1/3 of $1 quadrillion. This perspective underscores the importance for candidates to not only address local concerns, but also be cognizant of global dynamics. Lessons learned and charting the path forward. Harris's campaign faced multiple challenges: over-reliance on demographic assumptions, divisive rhetoric that alienated key voter groups, insufficient preparation time, and association with unpopular economic and foreign policies. These factors, set against the backdrop of global anti-incumbent trends, contributed to her defeat. This election serves as a profound lesson on the complexities of voter behavior and the dangers of complacency in political strategy. It underscores the necessity for candidates to move beyond symbolic politics and address the substantive issues that affect voters' lives. Inclusive dialogue, comprehensive policy proposals, and genuine engagement with the electorate are essential for building trust and securing support. Recognizing and adapting to global trends of anti-incumbent sentiment is crucial. Candidates must offer clear, actionable solutions to economic hardships and be willing to challenge the status quo. By doing so, they can resonate with voters' desire for meaningful change and position themselves as authentic representatives of the people's interests. Or we can keep going around and around in circles and patting ourselves on the back for getting absolutely nowhere. Please check out my other videos and consider subscribing.